How to find a job in Norway. Let's talk about it. If you're new here, hi, I'm Des, and I make videos about life abroad and tips on moving to Norway based on my experience. This video is mainly for students, especially MedTechs, who are taking additional education in Norway, but some of the tips here will also be useful to those looking for jobs in general. Finding a job in Norway can be challenging and everyone's experience is different. So I'll walk you through my entire process on how I look and apply for jobs. These are tips based on my own journey, which may help you in your own job search. There are a lot of websites you can use for job hunting, but I only use 3 main platforms. First is LinkedIn. It is a great platform to find English-speaking jobs, and Finn.no is the most commonly used job site in Norway, and you can find a lot of full-time and part-time jobs here, but it's mostly Norwegian. You can filter it based on location, type of position you want to work in, industry, and working language. And Webrecruiter is primarily used for public sector jobs like in healthcare. You can also search for jobs in Nav.no, but I personally didn't use it because the jobs posted there are also posted in Finn anyway. And lastly, Google Maps. What's great here is you'll see all the different establishments in the city. So what I did is I looked for all the laboratories in my area and applied to them directly. This is smart because a lot of jobs aren't posted and are just filled through referrals. If you're new in Norway and don't have a network yet, reaching out directly is a great way to get noticed. Sometimes workplaces aren't even thinking about hiring until the right person comes along. So by reaching out first, you might create an opportunity for yourself. Plus, it helps you build your network. Even if they don't have a job for you now, they might remember you later or refer you to someone else who's hiring. Taking the initiative can open doors that job posting won't. So the 3 websites I used for job hunting are Finn.no, LinkedIn, and Webrecruiter, plus Nav and Google Maps. When looking for jobs in Norway, don't rely on job title. I personally didn't use the search feature because it limits the positions that you will see. Job titles in Norway can be very general or different from what you expect. Instead, I scroll through listings and read descriptions to find relevant roles. For example, let's go to Finn.no. Let's click job and then click Alle stillinger, and here you will see all the jobs all over Norway. The only filter I use is the location, so you can choose whichever city you're moving into. Same goes for Webrecruiter. There's a lot of jobs listed here, but as you can see, they don't really specify the title. They usually describe the role. Sometimes the title is too general, like for example here they put ferievikar or summer temp, so you really need to go through each position and read through the description to see if it suits you. For MedTechs looking for similar roles in Norway while waiting for your authorization, you could look for roles such as laboratory techniker or laborant. It's the direct equivalent of laboratory technician. Or you could also search laboratory assistant or laboratory assistant. And outside healthcare, they usually put laboratory medarbeider or laboratory worker. It's usually in private laboratories or food industry and such. And then in phlebotomy roles, they usually put helsesecretær or health secretary, or bi-engineer student. It's bi-engineer student in English. And for this one, it can be both phlebotomy and laboratory work. There are also a lot of different roles for lab techs, like for sterilizing lab equipment, autoclaving, preparing agar medias, reagents, and stuff. With this one, they don't really specify the title. Sometimes it's written as ferievikar or summer temp, extra help, and tilkaling or on-call. So many of these listings are in general, and the roles might be for nurses or other professions, so you won't always know unless you read the full description. Submit open applications. The goal is to get your foot through the door, and don't disqualify yourself. Apply for the job even if you don't meet 100% of the requirements. Many of the job listings are more of a wish list rather than strict requirements, except of course for mandatory education like bachelor's and master's. There's a quote I read recently: let them disqualify you, never disqualify yourself. Never be the one to say no to yourself. Apply even if you don't meet all the qualifications, still send in your application. Hiring managers appreciate initiative, and sometimes they create adjusted role for you, and this actually happened to me. What I did is I still applied for bioengineering roles even though I didn't have my authorization yet. I just explained it in my cover letter. I've introduced myself and say, hi, I'm educated as a bioengineer. While I don't have my authorization yet, I'm currently working towards getting it, and I will be getting it by this time. So just explain it in your cover letter. Speaking of which, in Norway, almost all employers require cover letter or søknadsbrev. You must tailor it for each job. Don't send a generic one. When I wrote my cover letter, I structured it into 3 parts. The first paragraph is mainly an introduction. I introduce myself and why I'm applying. And when I was still learning B2 Norwegian, I've completed A1 to B1, and I'm working towards obtaining B2 proficiency, so they know that you have some sort of Norwegian proficiency. And then the next paragraph, I usually put job-specific qualifications or experience. So what I do with this is I go through the job description and match it with my experience. And then the last part is usually to sum it all up, and I give them my contact information. If the job post is in Norwegian, your cover letter should be Norwegian, and if it's in English, of course it should be in English. Again, don't use a generic cover letter because it's really obvious, and if you read through it, it's just general and doesn't really explain your experience. And don't use AI to write your entire cover letter. Just use it as a guide and to help you identify the grammar mistakes, because if you use AI for everything, it won't reflect your personality. Next is the CV or the curriculum vitae. Keep it simple and use ATS friendly template. Your CV should be in Norwegian format, and don't use fancy designs like you will find in Canva and those with graphics, because it wouldn't be read by their system. And when I applied, I didn't put photos in my CV, and I listed all my previous roles because salary in Norway is based on years of experience. You can check this page from NTNU. They've explained the CV format very well, and they have a clear explanation and example for each part. I've attached the link below in the description. Employers value volunteer work, especially if you have gaps in your work history. Volunteered in a local organization, and my leader advised to put it in my CV. Start applying early. I started applying for jobs while I was still in the Philippines, and I even received a job offer. However, due to visa processing delays, I had to turn it down because I wouldn't be able to arrive in Norway in time. But thankfully, I got another job when I arrived in Norway. So my tip is, if you're moving to Norway, start applying a month before your arrival. Hopefully, there's no more delays this time, because before it was 6 months processing time and then they changed it to 12. So I think 12 is safe, so you can start applying during your 11th or 12th month mark of waiting. And so what I did when I got this job, I explained in my cover letter that I'm still in the Philippines waiting for my visa, but I will be arriving around this time, and I was hoping if they're okay with that. So luckily, I found a job quickly upon my arrival. Be prepared for rejections. Rejections are part of the process. I got a lot when I started applying. It can be discouraging, but don't give up. Keep applying because you never know when the right opportunity will come. Norwegian proficiency matters. Landing a healthcare job or any job in general can be harder if you don't speak Norwegian. Smaller cities have fewer English-speaking roles, and English-speaking jobs are highly competitive. Many part-time jobs, especially in cafes and customer service, require basic Norwegian. That's why I really recommend to start learning Norwegian while you're still in your home country, because it will help you settle in faster and land a job easily once you arrive in Norway. And lastly, it's It's okay if you don't start in your field right away. Many people don't get a job in their field immediately, and that's completely fine. When I arrived, my priority was getting any job. While working, you can continue applying for roles in your field. And that's also what I did. I started working as a barista first before I landed a role as a lab tech. Job hunting in Norway requires time, effort, and persistence. Keep applying, stay open to opportunities, and don't be discouraged by rejections. Every step you take is a step closer to the right job. I hope this guide helped you, and if you have any questions not answered by this video, feel free to ask and leave a comment. Thank you for watching, and good luck with your job hunting. See you next time. Ha det bra!